Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call to order tonight's meeting of the City of Santa Rosa Planning Commission and ask for roll call, please.
Let the record reflect that all commissioners are present except Commissioner Peterson.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to the approval of our August 10th minutes. Any corrections on that? Okay, those are going to stand as printed. Okay. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to public comments, which is a time for any member of the public to come down and address the commission on matters of interest to the commission that are not listed tonight as a public hearing. And I do have one card on that. And so I'm going to go ahead and open the public comment time and call Deborah Smith to come down. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Deborah Smith. I live at 2133 Slater Street. This is in the neighborhood where Verizon has asked for a permit to put.
Could you pull the microphone down a little closer?
This is where Verizon has asked to put a permit for a cell phone tower at 510 Lewis Road. I have lived there since 2004. My home is 140 feet from this cell phone tower, and my garage, which will soon contain my home office, is 125 feet from the cell phone tower. I'm very concerned about this. I live at home 24/7 because I work from home for a NASA data center in Alabama. I have several issues with the cell phone tower placement. I believe that the site's been poorly chosen. And I also believe that putting the cell phone tower right at the edge of the commercial property, nearly abutting the neighborhood that is a lively inner city neighborhood of people who choose to live this way in the inner city of Santa Rosa rather than out among the hills. We like our neighborhood, and we're very concerned by a 75-foot tower. We have over 70 signatures so far, if not more. I'm not even keeping track of the number of homeowners in the immediate 4-block area who are opposed to this. Very few do not sign. This is even given that Verizon is texting customers and telling them to be in support of the Verizon tower. A lot of the people in the neighborhood do not want this. And I'm questioning the value of the tower if SB 649 goes through in the state, then why would a tower of this size be needed? Despite whether you personally believe in health effects or whether the industry paid expert who says there is no radiation at ground level is accurate, I do believe that as a scientist who can read the studies from other countries where they're not paid by the industry to do the research is showing that there is concern for long-term exposure. And I'm going to have long-term exposure staying in this house 24/7. So we are being asked to take a drop in property values because of the fact that this telephone tower is going in. Whether the health effects are true or not, there's a perceived health effect, and that reduces the number of buyers and the amount they will pay. And at this point, the damage is already done because we have to disclose that you're even thinking of this cell phone tower. And so if I wanted to leave right now, I'd already get less. And that concerns me. I've already taken a hit because of the fact that the fire station is my next door neighbor. And now the fire stations turned out to be a good neighbor, but I'm still concerned about it. That I've already had a property drop. My house is less than 1 block away. My house is valued as less, even though it's a nicer house. And now with the cell phone tower, I will have the same problem. So given these two important items of that it's in poor selection, I please ask you to consider not to support this permit request.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And I'm going to ask that you keep in contact with our planner, Mr. Gustafson, as this progresses. Okay?
I am in touch with him.
Okay, good. Okay, anyone else want to come down for public comments? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment period. Move on to Planning Commissioner's report. And any basic reports here tonight? Okay. We have a piece of business to do. Commissioner Stanley, former Commissioner Stanley, former Vice Chair Stanley, would you like to come up here so we can honor you? And I have a certificate of appreciation to read. It's in much smaller print than I'm used to, so I'm going to do my best with this. Okay, so this is the City of Santa Rosa, a certificate of appreciation. The City of Santa Rosa commends Peter Stanley for his meritorious service on the Planning Commission. Peter Stanley faithfully served on the Santa Rosa Planning Commission from January of 2011 through May of 2017, and served as vice chair from March of 2013 to February of 2017. During his incumbency, Peter Stanley attended 73 sessions and was instrumental in several notable planning actions, including the Roseland Area Specific Plan and Annexation, Interim Medical Cannabis Cultivation Policy, North Station Area Specific Plan, Social Advocates for Youth, your favorite, Climate Action Plan, City Creek Master Plan Update, Memorial Hospital renovation, and numerous residential and major commercial projects. Throughout his tenure, Peter Stanley was unmatched in his ability to articulate issues and educate both the public and the Commission with grace and good humor while performing his duties in an outstanding manner, and gave unselfishly of his time through his public service efforts to help the people of the City of Santa Rosa. So with that, I'm walk down and give this to you.
Chair Cisco, members of the Commission, thank you so much for this. I can tell you that the 6 years that I spent on the Commission were some of the most rewarding times that I've had in public service. And I've done a lot of things in public service, but there was something about working within your own community and advancing the ideas, the sort of the purpose and the direction that comes out of the Planning Commission I truly believe in, and I truly believe that you people, as you sit there in this commission, have an extraordinarily important job being the arbiters between staff and the applicants to sort of look out for what the community needs to sort of follow the policies and understand what it is that makes this city great and gives us the opportunity to move forward. I want to thank the time that I spent with all of you on the commission, short of Karen Weeks, who took my spot, and I'm very happy that that happened. I find her to be one of the more diligent people in our community. I also want to thank staff for the incredible work that you guys do, the support that they give this commission, but also just the good work that you do in the community. It's very important to us as you sit up there at the dais and try and go through some very complicated things. So again, I want to thank all of you for making my time on the commission, all of you, the community, my fellow commissioners, staff, even the people, the detractors who came up and were vehemently against some of the decisions we made. It made us a better commission. It made us speak more, I think, comprehensively about the things that we do in this community, and I think that we were very diligent in that regard. I want to thank especially Chair Cisco. I get to call you Patty now because I'm not in the commission. But
call me whatever you want.
you know, you really were my mentor on this. When I came in, I didn't know anything about what it was like to be on that side of the dais, and it's a very different place than where I spend my professional life, which is on this side. But you coaxed and coached and cajoled me into being a better commissioner, and I appreciate every moment of that. Some of the hand slapping when I tended to go off the rails a little bit, but I felt that I needed to at times. But thank you very much for all of that. And Commissioner Duggan, you're the two that were on this longer than I was. You're the ones that were there when I came here, and I appreciate the perspectives that you bring to the commission. I appreciate the perspectives all of you do. Kurt, your approach to things and your diligence in how you look at things. It was a very important time for me. I'm sorry I'm not on the commission anymore, but I think it's in great hands, and I look forward to looking at you from this direction in the future. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Would anybody like to say something? Yeah, Commissioner Veronica.
I was hoping that we have the opportunity to either add to Patty's remarks or rebut Peter's. But I just want to say, I believe I've been on the commission about 4 years now, maybe 4 years plus. But I've been in public service, in administration, and on boards and commissions, probably total over 40, 45 years now. And I have to say, you're one of the best, very best people I ever served with. And I think a true mark of the value of public service is learning from others too. And I've learned a lot. I wish you would be here still so I could learn more. But your very positive approach to not only city planning, but as you've indicated, the development of policies and making them work is very important and of great benefit to the city. So I thank you for the time that you served the city, and I look forward to you serving us again in the future.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I think I can't put it any better than Patty and Kurt. But I want to especially echo what they both said about how much of an education it was every meeting with you, and you would go first as vice chair, commenting on the agenda items. And it always was so grounding to have somebody so informed, intelligent, and able to point out where these projects fit in the big picture, looking decades down the line, long after we're gone, what the city's going to turn into, and having that vision that is so important for the work that we do. Instead of looking at projects and one by one, you understood what made a great city. And it was an absolute pleasure to serve with you. And you deserve every certificate that we could possibly think of. So, well deserved. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sure. Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, just how many times you made a comment and I was going next and you thought of something that I thought, why didn't I think of that? Like, what a great comment, and I totally agree with that. And I want to thank you for your unflagging good humor. You're always so positive and so easy to talk to and work with. And I know that from my time before in consulting engineering when we would do projects together, and how it's been very nice to get to know you more personally here and with our work here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, we certainly have the least experience together sitting on the commission, but I do want to echo everything that's been said and appreciate your humor and the way that you're able to articulate things so clearly and in a relatable way. I know that we share a common vision for what the city can be, and I'm so grateful that someone like you is still in the community, that you're just leaving the commission but not our city. And so I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Well, I have been a fan of yours for a number of years, and if I can be 1/10 of the commissioner that you were, I will feel that I'm successful, because I watched you every 2 weeks, and the way you thought about projects, the way you thought about the policies was really inspiring in a lot of ways. And so I know you're out there still helping to make San Rosa a better place, so thank you for all your service.
Thank you. You're just making me miss this more. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything that everybody said, and I applaud you for the work that you have done and what you're going to do. This is a great city. Thank you for your service.
I just want to say that really from day one when you came onto the commission, you rose the bar. We all had to be better and more diligent and more articulate, and you added so much fun to it. It was really fun having you.
Thanks.
And with that, we'll move on to department reports.
I have to follow Peter.
You might not get as much love.
Not a lot to report. We did some updates at the last meeting, but let's see. We will have the Southeast Greenway draft EIR public hearing. It is confirmed. It's for September 14th. So we provided hard copies for all of you because when you're looking at an EIR, you know, it's too complicated and too hard on you to have to do that electronically. Though these have been great for us. When we have an EIR, we always make that extra effort to get you the hard copies. So if you haven't already got that, let us know. We'll make sure you get that. Also coming up in September, we have our training, and this is a special year because we have budgeted for all of the planning commissioners to attend the California APA conference in Sacramento. So again, if you did not get your travel packets for that, let me know. We'll get you that information. And then also stay alert to your city emails because as we get closer to that, there'll be more communications. And just as there's general department updates, I like to send emails such as we recently sent you a permit status email on the cell tower that you've received correspondence with, and members of the public are speaking to you under public appearances, trying to keep you up to date on things that you're hearing about so you understand where it is in the process. So that's how we communicate with you, so please keep alert to that email. We are targeting September 28th for the comprehensive cannabis ordinance. That date's not confirmed, but that's where we're shooting for. We'll have some other items ready at that meeting, but because of the robustness of that ordinance, we'll try to keep that a manageable agenda for you. And then some department news. We have a couple of new faces coming to our department in planning. We have hired a new senior planner in development review. She's going to start, I think, September 11th. And then also we are in contract with M Group to help us with plan review and development review, also at a senior planner level. And that gentleman, Aaron, will be starting with us probably around that same week. So that will help. We're still down one senior planner in development review, so we are looking to do another open recruitment for that position. But you'll see a couple new faces. Both the senior planners who are coming on board are going to be able to hit the ground running, so you'll see them here presenting to you probably within a few weeks of them starting as they help us move a lot of our active projects to hearing, as a lot of them are gearing up to be ready, but we just don't have the manpower right now to get them to hearing, so they're going to be there to help us do that. And then over the next several weeks, we will be making some progress on a lot of the Housing Action Plan initiatives. So, for example, our density bonus initiative to look at density bonus greater than 35%. We've been working on some analysis, some research, some initial options that the city might consider, and that is called a white paper. That will be published either by the end of the month or beginning of September. I'll make sure I get that out to you. So I'm not going to wait for a commission meeting to get that to you. Again, I'm going to send that through email, so check your mail. And then we are moving forward with those process improvements that I know this commission and Design Review Board and Cultural Heritage Board, we are all part of. We'll be circling back with the ideas that were forthcoming from that discussion about how our boards can work more effectively together be more transparent to the public and be more predictable for applicants. So it's sort of meeting all of those mutual needs, and then also some tips for and administrative efficiencies for staff to help streamline the process. So we'll be circling back with those that progress as well. All right, thanks.
Okay. Next is statements of abstention by commissioners. Any abstentions tonight? Okay, good. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our public hearings. Our first one is 8.1, the Baldy Corner annexation pre-zoning. It is marked as an ex parte disclosure, but I'm not entirely sure that it needs to be. Does our city attorney know that? We do? Oh, okay. All right. Commissioner Rumble.
I have nothing to disclose.
I visited the site and have no additional information.
I visited the site and have no additional information.
I visited the site and have nothing further to disclose.
I visited the site and have nothing else to disclose.
And I also visited the site and have nothing else to disclose. So with that, Mr. Streeter will give our staff report.
Thank you, Chair Sisko, members of the Planning Commission. The item before you is the Baldy Corner annexation pre-zoning. The project includes pre-zoning of 9 parcels for a total of about 7.9 acres. And this would be to the R16 single-family residential and the CG general commercial zoning districts. Typically with an annexation proceeding, the City of Santa Rosa does not perform that action of annexation. Our role is to define the boundary of the annexation and also to assign the appropriate zoning districts so that when those parcels do come into the city, they're zoned in compatibility with our general plan and surrounding zoning. So the project is located at the corner of Middle Rincon and Highway 12. And it is what's called a county island. So it's several parcels that are under county jurisdiction, but surrounded completely by city jurisdiction. And the parcels, you may have noticed in the staff report, there are 9 parcels, there are 7 addresses. The difference being that addresses are assigned to properties once there's a structure built on those parcels. So 2 of the parcels involved in this annexation are vacant. So that's why we have 7 addresses and 9 assessor's parcel numbers that we're dealing with in this annexation. As you can see from the aerial image, development surrounding the property is substantially developed. To the north and the west are predominantly single-family residential developments of varying lot sizes and densities. Along the Highway 12 corridor is primarily commercial development, but there are some residential developments along there. And to the east is also residential development, which includes larger parcel sizes, as well as other quasi-public institutions such as churches and schools. In February of this year, an application was submitted to the city for the pre-zoning to accommodate that annexation process. Also that month, the application was referred out to city departments as well as outside agencies, including Sonoma County Permit Resource Management and Sonoma LAFCO, or the Local Agency Formation Commission, which is the organizational body that will actually be performing that annexation. And by June of this year, all comments had been received. There were no issues with the proposed annexation or the proposed zoning, and the application was deemed complete and ready for public hearing. It should also be noted that several pre-application meetings were held, both as neighborhood meetings and city staff meetings, with potential developers for these parcels with varying projects, but none of those projects are part of this annexation. This is purely to apply the pre-zoning to annex the properties into the city and provide utility services, so water and sewer. Any future development would be subject to its own individual review, be it design review, use permits, tentative map, any of those, and California Environmental Quality Act. So the parcels right now are within the county. The zoning is predominantly residential north of the project site and to the northeast and northwest, and then to the south along the Highway 12 corridor, it's primarily residential zone or commercial zoning. The general plan for the area calls for low-density residential, which is 2 to 8 units per acre for the parcels around the corner properties, and at the corner would be retail and business services. The proposed pre-zoning would be consistent with those general plan land use designations, the R16 being the single-family residential that would implement that low-density residential land use designation from the general plan, and CG being general commercial and implementing the retail and business service designation. The project has been reviewed pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. Because the zoning districts are consistent with the densities that were established in the general plan, and this action does not have any development associated with it. There are no peculiar environmental impacts associated with this pre-zoning action. This is the annexation boundary map, so it's consistent with the previous maps that were shown and where that zoning would be applied. Public comments related to the project have primarily been more inquisitive in nature as to what can be expected with this action taking place. There are concerns about Vale Street and Venti Lane, which currently stub end on these annexation parcels, and whether or not those would be extended out and how that would impact the intersection of Highway 12 and Middle Rincon. As was mentioned earlier, there's no actual development project associated with this action. When something does come forward, when and if something comes forward that would involve the extension of those streets, it would be subject to the public review process, as well as internal and external city review. So considering the fact that the project is encouraged by Sonoma County Planning as well as LAFCO, and city staff has no issues with the proposed annexation, the Department of Planning and Economic Development is recommending that the Planning Commission by resolution approve pre-zoning the properties within the annexation boundary to the appropriate zoning designations of R16 and CG. And staff is available if there are any questions. Thank you.
Any questions of staff right now? Okay, great. And is there an applicant going to do any presenting
There's
on this?
not an applicant who's going to be presenting, but I believe some members of the applicant parcels are here in the audience.
Okay, but nobody's going to be coming up and speaking to us. Okay, great. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. I don't have any cards on this item. Any member of the public, come on down. And if you would state your name for the record, you have 3 minutes, and there's a little bar there that will show you. You'll start at green and you'll end at red.
Hi, my name is Jim, J-I-M-F-A-O-R-O. My sisters and I own the parcel where the P is on project. We all related to the corner. We're all part of the Baldy family, Anselmo Baldy. We all grew up there. Over the years, when my grandpa built his store there on the corner of Middle Rincon Road and Highway 12, it was called Baldy and Sons Store, and we all worked there. The fire department land was donated by Anselmo Baldy to the Rincon Valley Fire Department because they needed a fire department back in the 1920s. Over the years, my parents and my grandparents and uncles and all that have protected those parcels as C2, which is the current zoning in the county. The county says we can't do anything with that land until we join the city of Santa Rosa because Santa Rosa moved around us. The proposed changes for the zoning on ours, the project with the capital P and the one right next to it on the edge. The one on the edge is currently a commercial operation. It's Rincon Valley front end alignment. Ours is residential. The next one with the J is residential. And then the one on the corner there is my grandpa's house. That's residential. The only commercial is the 7-Eleven store and Carter's Feed. At one time, we had hoped that we would have a commercial development on the whole corner. The changes to the pre-zoning to rural residential low density was made without our notification or our input. So that's kind of the basis of my complaint. You changed the use of our land and probably affected its value without our knowledge nor input. And believe me, I don't think that's fair. After all, we've had this land all these years and just arbitrarily, or it may not be arbitrarily, but to us, it didn't, because we were planning to use commercial in the front and then residential in the back half of those parcels. And that would be residential along, or commercial along Highway 12, and then residential on the back acreage where you see all the houses. That was our hope, but now it limits our options, and we had no input with that. So that's my complaint, and that's my concern.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else get up or move, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and ask Mr. Streeter to come back and explain our process here of
Yeah, so so the parcels immediately to the west of the red parcels here, the ones that are in the general plan for commercial designation, those would have been assigned this designation at the last general plan update or previous update. So that's when the city goes through the public process of determining what the future vision of development is for the city and how these parcels should be developed in the future. And so at some point in the past, then there would be a bit of a research exercise to figure out when that determination was made. But the city of Santa Rosa, in mapping out the general plan, assigned those parcels to be for residential development and for the parcels at the corner to be for commercial development. So this annexation pre-zoning would be consistent with the general plan. If at some future time commercial development was deemed to be more appropriate for those parcels, the two mechanisms would be either through a general plan amendment application or through the city when we undertake our next general plan update. We could look more closely at those individual parcels and make a determination at that time as to whether or not residential is the appropriate designation or if some other designation should be applied. But those are the two mechanisms for bringing commercial into those uses or applying residential to the ones that are currently designated for commercial.
okay. And our job tonight is to pre-zone consistent with the general plan land use, which was previously set. And like you said, there might be an option in a general plan update, which we're supposed to be having one at some point, to relook at that as potential commercial portion of it as commercial or a general plan amendment.
Correct. And the city does try to give abundant outreach when that general plan update is taking place. But for anyone in the audience tonight, be aware that you want to keep following this action as it moves forward with the city, because we do want that public input for mapping out our future development.
Okay, great, thanks. Any other question? Yeah, Commissioner Duggan.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. So, so let's say we do the pre-zoning and then it gets annexed, and with the general plan update, there could be an opportunity to rezone some of these parcels that are residential now. Do they ever do like a split zoning? I mean, could that be possible, like the gentleman asked about having residential on the north parts of the parcel because they're quite deep, and then commercial towards Highway 12?
Yeah, the cleanest mechanism would be a lot split or a subdivision, a parcel map subdivision. But there are occurrences within the city where we have general plan designations that split through a lot, and then the implementing zoning would also do the same. So that does occur.
Okay. And also, I just have a sort of a curiosity question. I know the Rincon Valley Fire Department is on one of these parcels, and I believe they're a county fire department, and they're a volunteer fire department. They're not part of this Santa Rosa Fire Department, but they've got some, I guess, reciprocity agreements. Does this in any way affect their operations? Do they have to move to county land?
No, they're their own district. It's a fire protection district. And this annexation is for the city's jurisdictional boundaries, but it doesn't impact that fire protection district whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Vice Chair Minson.
I just wanted a little bit of comment on why R16, and I'm looking at the zoning code, And I'm seeing that we have this option that I actually haven't seen in any project and have never seen come before us before, but for R1 7.5, which would be a little bit denser, would be consistent with the general plan. So is that a disfavored thing, or what was the thinking behind choosing R16 instead of R1 7.5?
Staff did not do an in-depth analysis on the specific density of the R1 district. The application proposed R16, so staff just went forward with that because it was consistent with the general plan. It is in the Planning Commission's purview to determine what designation they would like to recommend to the council, so that is an option, but it's just R16 is the standard implementing district, and that's what was moved forward at the time of application.
Okay, thank you. So if we were to change it to R1 7.5, besides the increased permitted density for those projects, would there be any significant changes to the land use that would be permitted there?
I'll have to confer with the rest of planning staff on that. But if it's still an implementing district, as far as California Environmental Quality Act and everything, it would be still consistent with the densities that are envisioned in the general plan. But for any nuanced changes, I'd have to check with the rest of staff.
Thank you.
Commissioner Groninger?
Yes, just one technical question, or yeah, I'll make it a question, I suppose. I had the same first question that Commissioner Duggan had about the fire district as a special district, in essence, within the limits here, and this does go before LAFCO at some point. The other one is, and this is a technical one, am I correct? I thought Whitehead School was part of the Rincon Valley School District. Is it part of city schools? Because it was mentioned here. If it is or isn't, a request would be just to double check that, to make certain we're right, you know, as we come to that.
Any other questions?
I just want to do a quick follow-up to Commissioner Edmondson's comment or inquiry in terms of staff recommendation associated with the alternative zoning district, which is completely within the purview of the Planning Commission. As Mr. Streeter noted, the staff analysis was responsive to the application, which was to R16, and so in terms of noticing and conversing with neighbors, the applicant, and the staff analysis, it was based on R16. We can take direction that in the future we can extend that analysis to other options. But that is the case with this item, is that it was limited analysis to R16. So if the commission did want to consider an alternative zoning district, our recommendation would be to continue the item to allow that to properly occur and not just do an analysis here tonight. So it hasn't been noticed for an alternative zoning district, and it's possible that would be more intensive. So we'd need to analyze the implications so that you were informed of what the implications are and the public had a chance to comment on it. But certainly within your purview to suggest more, something different that still could be found consistent with the general plan.
Okay. Any other questions of staff right now? Okay, so with that, let's bring it back to the commission. Would someone like to propose the resolution for discussion?
I'll move a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Santa Rosa recommending to City Council pre-zoning of the properties located at 43, 77, and 91 Middle Rincon Road and 4785, 4801, 4847, and 4865 Highway 12 to the R16 single-family residential and CG general commercial zoning districts to accommodate the proposed Baldy Corner annexation. Assessors parcel numbers 182-540-020, 021, 022, 023, 024, 025, 026-027-028, file number ANX17-003, and waive further reading.
Second.
Okay, so that was moved by Commissioner Duggan, seconded by Vice Chair Edmondson. And Vice Chair Edmondson, you want to start our discussion?
Sure. With the issue that I brought up with the zoning district, I was mostly curious about the process, and I think R16 makes more sense, and that's the application that was received. I was just wondering how it was that it came to be, and that was a good explanation of where it came from, so thank you. When it comes to the pre-zoning that we're doing here, the limited action that is before us tonight, I think it's a really straightforward decision. It is consistent with the general plan. The land use destiny of the parcels is chosen in the general plan process, and the entire city is designated one way or the other all at once, and it's a difficult thing to get the general plan designation perfect for every parcel, and it's good that we have means and mechanisms to go back and look at each parcel, every owner, and change it to be more appropriate if the general plan doesn't make sense for the land anymore. So it's not set in stone, and we do have a regular general plan amendment process that's coming around again before too long, actually. And if that is too long to wait, then the general plan amendment or a subdivision and a general plan amendment would be able to accomplish those results, even if it's belatedly and harder to accomplish than it should be. At least the outcome can be correct. But when it comes to what we're doing here, we're just choosing the zone that makes sense for the general plan, and that decision was made by a previous commission and city council. And I don't have any issues with the pre-zoning. I think it's the right zoning district, and I'm going to vote in favor of the pre-zoning.
Okay, Commissioner Gronica?
Yes, I realize this is the first step in a long process, in essence, in terms of LAFCO and getting the area annexed, as well as looking to the future when specific project development or projects come forward. I would expect there'll be plenty of opportunity for residents in the area to come forward either on specific projects and or not only the general plan, but as projects come forward, a lot of opportunity to propose and discuss any changes to zoning at those junctions. So this is straightforward, and I will vote in support of it.
Commissioner Weeks?
Well, as has already been said, it's pretty straightforward. It's consistent with the general plan, and if a goal is to help eliminate county islands, this goes towards that. So I'm supportive of this.
Okay. Commissioner Duggan?
Yeah, I have no additional comments to make besides what's been said, and I'm supportive of it.
Commissioner Rumble?
I don't have any further comments beyond what's been said, and I'm supportive.
And I also am in support with echoing everything that's been said. So with that was moved by Commissioner Duggan, seconded by Vice Chair Edmondson, and your votes, please. And that passes with 6 ayes, Commissioner Peterson being absent. And I believe that concludes our matter. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to 8.2, which is the NIBS annexation pre-zoning for Shenank Road. And it is an ex parte. Commissioner Rumble, anything to disclose?
I visited this site, nothing further.
I also visited the site and have nothing additional to disclose.
I visited the site and have nothing new to disclose.
I visited the site and have nothing to disclose.
I also visited the site and have nothing else to disclose.
And I also visited the site and have nothing else to disclose. And with that, Amy Nicholson is staff and will give the staff report.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Sisko, members of the commission. The item before you is the NIBS annexation pre-zoning. It's also been called the Shenate Road annexation pre-zoning, and we changed the title just to not cause any confusion with potential development being discussed at the Old Sutter Hospital in Shenate. The proposal is to pre-zone 2 parcels that comprise a total of 0.44 acres to the R16 zoning district, which is intended for single-family residential uses. Each of these parcels are developed with detached single-family dwellings. No additions to the houses are proposed, or no intensification of what's out there is proposed. This annexation or pre-zoning to allow for annexation is purely to allow the applicant to connect to city sewer. Approval of this pre-zoning is the first step in allowing for annexation into the city, and I'll talk a little bit more about why that's required. And upon annexation, future utility connections could be established. So the project site is located in northeast Santa Rosa at 3747 and 3753 Shenate Road. This is an aerial of the site and surrounding area. The site is bounded by the orange color, and as you can see, there are some structures on the site. Those are the 2 detached single-family dwellings, 1 per parcel, and the area is surrounded by residential development. Back in October of 2016, an application was submitted for a utility certificate to the Planning and Economic Development Department. A utility certificate is an option for properties that are within the urban growth boundary, but they are not within the city limits, and they can allow for a property to connect to city sewer or city water. Oftentimes, these utility certificates are actually issued by the director, but in some cases, they are issued by the city council. In this case, based on the property's location abutting existing city properties, LAFCO, which is the Local Agency Formation Commission, which establishes boundaries of cities, requested that the property owner pursue annexation, as their goal is to eliminate county islands, and because this is a portion of a county island, they proposed that as a next step. They have agreed to work with the city and the applicant to approve kind of an interim solution where the applicant can connect to city sewer in the meantime while the annexation is fully being processed, so he's not having to wait even longer than he has already. This graphic here shows the zoning of the site and the surrounding area, or the lack of zoning of the site. So the kind of white-gray area indicates the county island. This site is a very small portion of the county island. Properties surrounding the island are all zoned for residential land uses, RR20 to the east, north, and south, and R16 to the west of the county island. The property is designated for very low density residential land uses under the general plan, and as this property is within the urban growth boundary, it does have an established land use designation. As you can see from the graphic, this land use designation is consistent with all of the surrounding parcels and allows between 0.2 and 2 units per acre. Now, the developed lots actually exceed that density that's allowed. However, staff has found the proposal consistent with the general plan in that there's no additional units being proposed, and the general plan has language that allows for 1 residential unit on each legally established parcel, which is the case here. The proposed pre-zoning would implement the very low-density land use designation. It's the R16 district intended for single-family land uses. Generally, this implements the low-density land use designation, except for in the case of hillside areas where residential development should be more clustered. And so in this case, the R16 zoning district has been determined to be consistent with the general plan and also would be appropriate for the existing lot sizes. The pre-zoning has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. The R16 zoning district implements the very low-density residential land use for which an EIR was previously certified. And this graphic here is similar to other graphics that you've seen. The blue area shows the 2 parcels that are proposed for pre-zoning and future annexation. The majority of the county island is owned by one property owner. There are several other property owners. The applicant had communicated with several of the property owners earlier in the process who did not express an interest in joining in on the annexation effort. And then in terms of public comment, I've received one. I got a phone call from a property owner who just expressed that she had no desire to come into the city limits. And I explained that this action would not affect her property. With that, the Planning and Economic Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission, by resolution, recommend that the City Council approve the requested pre-zoning of the properties at 3747 and 3753 Sinead Road to the R16 single-family residential zoning district. And staff is available to answer questions. The applicant is also here. He doesn't have a presentation, but if you had something specific to ask him, he is available as well.
Great, thanks. Any questions of Ms. Nicholson? No, not right now. Any questions of our landowner? Did you want to have them? No. Oh, okay, good for you. Okay. This is a public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing and see if there are any members of the public wishing to come down and speak to us on this item. And I am not seeing anyone move, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion of the resolution.
I'll move a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Santa Rosa recommending to City Council pre-zoning of the properties located at 3747 and 3753 Sinead Road to the R16 single-family residential zoning district, assessors parcel numbers 173-260-007 and 173-260-008, file number ANX17-004, and waive for the reading.
Second.
Okay, so that was moved by Commissioner Duggan, seconded by Commissioner Rumble. And Commissioner Duggan, would you like to start?
Sure. I think much like the previous item, this is sort of a housekeeping thing, and it makes sense to make the county island smaller, and it makes sense to let the property owner connect to the city utilities. And thank you for your answer about talking to the other owners in the island area, because I know that was part of the LAFCO letter asking about if they wanted to streamline the whole annexation process for the island. And since it just takes a little nibble out of the corner and makes the island smaller, I have no issues with it, so I'm in support of it.
Okay. Commissioner Rumble.
I don't really have much to say about this one. I'm supportive.
Okay. Vice Chair Edmondson.
I'm just going to briefly say something that I should have said with the previous item, although I am in support of this one. Like was mentioned, it is a housekeeping item. It's clearly consistent with the general plan, but the previous item, I think, obviously it's been voted on, but just as a general comment on everything, that the general plan and using more mixed kinds of designations could add that kind of flexibility that the gentleman wanted with his property. So I just want to go on record supporting that whenever I can. But this I am also in support of.
Commissioner Groningen.
I support this item. It's another straightforward one, and as usual, well presented and organized, so thank you.
Commissioner Weeks.
I have nothing further to say. I'm in support of the project.
And I also have nothing further to add and am supportive of the project. So with that, this was moved by Commissioner Duggan, seconded by Commissioner Rumble, and your votes, please. And that passes with 6 ayes, Commissioner Peterson being absent. And I believe that concludes our business for tonight, and we adjourn to our September 14th meeting.